Yes.
What are you hoping to get from testifying today if there are no agreements between the state and you?
Personally, I'm hoping to get obviously less time. I'm also hoping to provide closure for the Rice family.
I'm going to sort of jump around just a little bit because I'm going to go to after the murder, before the murder. Were you interviewed multiple times by law enforcement prior to your arrest?
Yes.
Did you tell the truth during those interviews?
No.
Why?
A few reasons. One, I was still trying to protect my job. I had a family, a house, I had a career, I had a good life, and I'm trying to protect it. I'd also been threatened by my co-defendant that if I ever told the truth, she'd kill me.
You said one of the reasons is that you were trying to protect the house. You had a nice house and a family. Does your family still live in that house?
No.
And some people might think it odd that a man is afraid of a fairly petite woman. Why were you afraid of her?
I was afraid of her because I watched her kill the father of her kid. And threatened to do the same thing to me.
All right, so now, how did you come to meet the defendant?
So, I believe it was early 2018. She came to work for Grindstaff Transport, which is the company that contracts with the coroner's office as well as several funeral homes in the area to do body transport. I had worked for them for several years at that time, and when the defendant came to work for Grindstaff, I was one of the ones that was kind of put in charge of helping to train her. So I taught her things like, different funeral homes have different preferences for how you speak to the families and the questions you ask, and things that you do to the body when you get back to the funeral home to prepare it for embalming. So I trained her as to the preferences of all those different funeral homes, as well as the preferences of the coroners so that we could serve our customers the best we could.
You've sort of explained it, but what does a body transport company do?
Okay, so the body transport company, in the case of a funeral home, say a funeral home calls, we would go to the place of death, meet with the family, ask several questions that are repetitive. Yes, the same questions with each body. And then bring the body from the place of death to the funeral home and prepare it for embalming or cremation, depending on the circumstances. And in the case of a coroner call, we would respond to the place of death, and that could be anywhere from a hospital bed to the side of the road, anywhere in between. And we would work with the coroners while on scene just to make their job as easy as possible. We would draw blood if they needed us to draw blood. We would help collect bodily fluids. We would help package evidence, really whatever they needed.
Would body transport workers work alone or in pairs?
Both, depending on the circumstances. On a coroner case, typically it would be alone, because usually on a coroner case there's firemen or police on scene that would help us with the bodies. In the case of a funeral home, most of the time 2 people would go because the family's there and you want to make sure you're handling the body with care and respect.
Did you ever see the defendant lifting a body?
Thousands of times, yes.
Did she always require assistance?
No.
You said that you met her, I believe you said sometime in 2018. When you first began working with her, did you introduce her to your family?
I wouldn't say it was when I first went to work with her, but I believe the first time she met my family was when we were moving. We were living in a condo off of 38th Avenue in Myrtle Beach, and my wife was pregnant at the time, and we were moving into our new house in Conway, so I was having to box things up and lift the weight on my own because my wife couldn't lift because she was pregnant. And I just happened to be talking about it on one of our death calls one day that, I had a lot of work to get done. I was having to box things up. I didn't have much help. And the defendant volunteered to help me lift the boxes and move them downstairs and things like that. So I took her up on that offer, and she came to the condo and helped, and she met my wife.
Do you know where the defendant was living at that point?
She was living in Merle's Inlet.
Who was she living with?
The victim in the case and her 4 children.
The victim being Greg Rice?
Greg Rice, yeah, sorry.
When you moved from the condo, where did you and your family move?
We moved to River's Edge Plantation off of Highway 90 in Conway.
At some point, did you and the defendant begin a sexual relationship?
Yes.
How did that begin?
Well, it began, I would say, when there was a time I invited her to lunch at a restaurant called Bricks in Myrtle Beach. She came to lunch with me, and she ordered several drinks. It was the first time I had seen her drink. She ordered a bunch of amaretto sours and got hammered drunk. After that, and let me backtrack, I was a regular at Bricks. I went there a lot. I went there with my family. I went there after leaving the hospital from autopsies for lunch. I was a regular there. So after the initial time that the defendant met me there, I continued to go there on my own, and I started seeing her there. I would run into her there. She would already be there, and she would typically be drinking by herself. And she started becoming a regular there herself, more so than I was.
This was before your sexual relationship began?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting
No,
next.
no, you're fine. I'm just trying to make sure we keep the timeline correct.
I got you. So then on one of these occasions at Bricks, it was at night, she paid her bill and she told me that she had to talk to me outside privately. So I went outside with her and she told me to get in the van, her work van. So I got in the passenger seat thinking she was going to ask me a question about work or something like that. And she turned the van on and threw it in reverse. I said, "Where are we going?" She said, "We can't talk right here." It was right by the entrance and there were people around. So in the back parking lot of Bricks, it's kind of an incline in the parking lot and it goes up to a service road, like a dead end service road. And she pulled into the service road and parked. And I said, "This looks suspicious, why are we here?" She said, "Have you ever cheated on your wife?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, you're about to." And she climbed over the console on top of me and started to kiss me. And on that occasion, I gently pushed her off of me and said, "I'm not doing this." For the next several days, she kind of made fun of me about it and told me that I was the only guy she's ever met that would have turned down that opportunity. And eventually I didn't push her off of me. I gave in, and that's when it all started. And it became a regular event.
Do you know about when the affair started?
It would have been very late 2019, very early 2020.
Would you say that the two of you were fairly sexually active with each other? Did you have sex a lot?
I don't know. Depends on what your definition of a lot is, but yeah, fairly regularly, yeah.
During your time together with the defendant, before the affair started and all the way until you stopped having contact with her, did you ever meet Greg Rice?
No.
Did the defendant ever talk to you about her relationship with Greg Rice?
Yes.
How did she describe her relationship with Greg Rice?
She described it as abusive. Basically that he was a drug abusing woman beater, and that was why she left him.
During your time with her, did you ever see any physical evidence of any abuse that she suffered?
No.
Did you, other than what the defendant said to you, did you have any other reason to believe that Greg Rice had anything to do with illegal drugs?
No.
At some point, did the defendant move into your neighborhood?
Yes.
What?
Go back to that's a leading question, in my opinion, objective. Overruled. Go ahead.
Do you know when that was?
She moved into the neighborhood around Christmas time of 2019. I remember that because she had a Christmas tree in her house before she had anything else.
Okay. Once she moved into the neighborhood, did you and your family begin to spend time with her and her children?
Yes.
Okay, let me actually back up. Who moved into her house? Excuse me.
In River's Edge?
Yes.
She had left Greg, and she moved into the new house with her 4 children.
Approximately how far away was the house that she moved into from your house?
Right down the street, within a 2-minute walk, roughly.
And I think I might have just asked this, but did your family started spending time with each other?
All the time.
Did you ever have an opportunity to speak to the children about their father, Greg Rice?
Yeah, I mean,
Object to what Red Mike might have said. That's hearsay.
Yeah, you can't get into what he said without allowing that question.
Okay.
I mean, you can't say what Greg Rice said.
I didn't ask what Greg Rice said. I was asking about the children, but I can ask it this way. In your time with the victim's children, did you see anything that would indicate that the children were afraid of him?
just the opposite.
Okay.
No, they spoke very high. They spoke of him the way I would want my children to speak of me.
Object, Your Honor. He's talking about what other people said. That's hearsay. Hearsay. What the children said, hearsay.
At some point, did Erica, your wife, find out that you and the defendant were having an affair?
Yes.
And let me ask the obvious question first. Before she found out, did you take steps to hide the affair from her?
Yes.
Did that include lying to her?
Yes.
So at some point, Erica found out about the affair. Do you know how she found out?
I believe it was when she received anonymous text messages.
Were you together with her when she got those text messages?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Did she?
Objection, Your Honor, that's not an affirmative answer. He said it was pretty certain, objective. Question and answer.
I can
What do
clarify.
you want me to do, strike it?
Just have him regraded or check on him, see if he is testifying to what he knows. Can't testify, not sure.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Okay. I forgot where I was now. Did she show you any of those? Did she confront you about those text messages?
Yes, she did.
What was your response to her about the text? Do you remember what any of them said?
It was something to the effect of, your husband has impregnated someone. Just thought you might want to know about it.
What did you say when she confronted you with those text messages?
That I had no idea who would have sent that, and that it wasn't true.
So you lied to her because you were trying to cover up your affair?
Yeah.
At that time, did you have any idea who sent those messages?
No.
Did you and or your wife ever, well, I'll stick with you just so it's personal knowledge. Did you ever speak with the defendant about those texts?
Yes.
Did the defendant ever tell you who was sending the text or who she thought was sending the text?
She pretty much immediately said that it was Greg Rice.
And I apologize if I've asked you this before. Did you ever meet Greg?
No, as far as, I never shook his hand. We never spoke. I saw him. He would drive through the neighborhood to pick up the kids. I would wave at him, just a friendly wave. That was the extent of my interaction with him.
After those initial texts, did you and your wife remain married?
I'm sorry?
After Erica received those initial texts, that's a hard word, did you guys remain married?
Yes.
Did it cause additional strain on your marriage?
Yes.
Court's indulgence for a moment. I'm not saying you did commit at this time. I'm just going to show. Your Honor, I'm going to approach, with the court's permission, with State's Exhibit 153. Did you and the defendant have more than one conversation about who might be kind of trying to leak word of the affair?
Yeah, it was an ongoing conversation over the course of several days. You know,
And were they in-person conversations, text conversations, or both?
both.
If you could just look at Exhibit 153, it's not admitted yet, so don't read it out loud or anything.
Okay.
But is that a text conversation that you had with the defendant?
It appears to be, yes. I mean, it's been 5 years, so I don't remember exactly, you know.
Right.
But
Is that your phone number that's in
it is my phone number, yes.
And is that her phone number?
Yes.
Did anyone else ever text from your phone?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did anyone ever text from the defendant's phone? Text you from the defendant's phone?
Other than her, no.
Next.
Your Honor, I don't believe you can know who texted her phone, so I move to strike that in.
He said not to my knowledge.
Overruled, I will allow.
sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here. Before your wife got those anonymous text messages, had you and the defendant and one of her daughters and a friend gone to Florida together?
Yes.
Okay, just tell us a little bit about that.
So the conversation began with I was going to go to Florida to two things. The Jacksonville area to look at some convenience stores. There was a contract that I got with my maintenance company every year to pressure wash lots of convenience stores up and down the East Coast. And the client that we worked for had numerous stores in Florida that I had never had the chance to bid. And I had been wanting to go there for a long time to drop a business card to some of the franchisees at the stores and try to get my foot in the door to get the Florida region of the contracts. There's also a really good pizza place in St. Augustine that I like to go to. And I discussed all this with the defendant.
So how is it that you and the defendant and these two other people went together?
Yeah, she said, well, I'll pay for the whole trip. And she booked the trip and we went together and I didn't resist.
Did you tell Erica that you were going with the defendant and the defendant's daughter and her friend?
No, she knew I was going to Florida, but not with them.
So I'm approaching with State's Exhibit 98. And I'm just going to direct your attention to, I think it's the 6th line. Is that an accurate list of the people who went to Florida on that trip?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did anyone else know who all went on that trip?
No, not to my knowledge.
While you were, and how close in time was that trip to when Greg was killed?
I don't remember the exact dates of the trip. I know Greg was killed on the night of the 2nd. It would have been within a week to 2 weeks, I believe.
During that trip, did the defendant tell you anything about any text conversations or issues she was having with the victim?
Yes. So during that trip, she claimed that Greg Rice was upset because she had left the kids with him for longer than he expected to have them. And then she showed me what appeared to be a text from Greg saying something to the effect of, "You have a storm coming."
Did she show you just that text message, or did she show you like an entire conversation?
She did not show me the entire conversation. Matter of fact, that's the only line I remember.
Did the defendant talk to you about that sort of message?
Well, going forward from that point, she acted as if she was terrified of Greg, and that storm coming message meant that he was going to abuse her again. She was in fear of him, and it was a constant subject of conversation after that. I don't know how she did it. She's very tech savvy, and she did something with her phone to where she could see Greg's phone screen on her phone, and she could track his location. She could see if he was texting somebody, she could see his screen on her screen from wherever she was. Like I said, it was a constant conversation. She thought that he was going to use the kids against her. She claimed that he had made comments about trying to take the kids and get child support from her. And like I said, it was a constant conversation after she got that text.
Again, I apologize, I'm jumping around a little bit. At some point, did the defendant tell you that she had become pregnant?
Yes,
Was that before or after the trip to Florida?
before. That would have been in, I believe it was late August.
Did she tell you who the father of the child was?
She said that the father of the child was me.